What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode. I'm so happy to be back because tonight, the start of the 2019-2020 NHL season finally begins. I've been waiting so long for this. The summer's been long. The first couple weeks of school have been long without, hockey that night to look forward to. So I'm so happy that it is finally back, and I'm sure you guys are as well. Today, we'll be taking a look at my 2019-2020 NHL predictions. Now, I wanted to get this video out a couple weeks ago, and I started filming, and it went on for like 40 minutes, and then it went on for like half an hour. The videos were way too long, so today we're going to probably go a bit faster because I also have a hockey practice tonight, so I won't be able to watch many of the opening games. But again, the games start tonight. We've got Ottawa, Toronto, big game for Toronto to start it off. We'll see how they look. Barry, Kerfoot, and the Leafs jerseys. We'll talk a bit more about them later. When we get to the Leafs, we've got Edmonton, Vancouver, Vegas, San Jose. There's a lot of good games tonight, and I cannot wait. So if you guys are looking forward to the season, make sure to drop a like at the bottom of the screen. Tell your friends about the channel. We're trying to hit 200 subscribers soon. I was going to say 200K. Not quite yet. We're trying to hit 200 subscribers, so please tell your friends about the channel. Without further ado, guys, let's get into the episode. Alright, so like I said, I think we're going to have to, kind of go through these teams a bit faster because the videos that I said, that I did before went on for way too long. So let's start with the Atlantic Division. At number 8, I have the Detroit Red Wings. No, not the Ottawa Senators. I think the Red Wings are going to have a worse year than the Sens just because the Sens are a bit younger, and I think they're going to be a bit faster. The Red Wings still do have a couple good players, but personally, after Larkin, Mantha, Athanasiou, there's not much else there. While the Senators, you got Colin White, Thomas Chabot, Brady Tkachuk is the number one winger by default. You still got some players there that, young players that should have solid seasons, and a lot of rookies that could step into the roster. We'll see how they do. Guys like Brandstrom, Batherston, Formanson, Logan Brown. There's a lot of guys that can step in. Detroit's kind of in that mode where they're not going to have many players, kind of younger players jumping into the lineup other than Philip Zadina, and who even knows if he's going to play this year. So at number 8, I have the Detroit Red Wings, and at number 7, I have the Ottawa Senators. I don't think the Senators are going to go that much higher, but hey, it's an upgrade from where most people have them. So I've got the Red Wings 8, Senators 7. At number 6, I have my second favorite team, the Buffalo Sabres. We go down to Buffalo a lot to watch them play Bruins and hopefully some other teams this season. I got to meet Jack Eichel, like I said in a couple of other videos, in Buffalo. I love kind of how close you get to be to their players, and the atmosphere that they have there is awesome. But anyways, back to where I think they're going to be finishing. I really like what they did this offseason, picking up Marcus Johansson, Colin Miller, Jimmy Vesey. The team's going to be okay this season. Goaltending is a bit weaker than most teams in the Atlantic Division. But I think they're going to be more competitive than they were last year. But I don't think they're going to do much better than 6th in the Atlantic Division. I think the 5 teams I have above them are going to have a better year. So that's why I have the Sabres at 6. But I think you can expect good years from guys like Eichel. Skinner won't have as good of a year, but he'll still be strong. Reinhardt's really turned into a 70-point player, which is good to see. And I think Casey Middlestad's going to have a good year this year as well. So I've got the Buffalo Sabres at number 6. At number 5, and outside a wildcard spot, I have the Florida Panthers. Now, this may come to a surprise for most people. Obviously, big addition by Sergei Bobrovsky. That was huge for the Panthers, but after that, the forward core, they've got a lot of firepower there. Barkov, Hoffman, Trocheck, Huberdeau, Dadonov. There's a lot of great guys there. The bottom 6 isn't great in Florida, and the defense is a bit weaker. Guys like Ekblad and Yandel are really going to have to lead that defense. Matheson's looking pretty good. They've got a couple younger guys there, but compared to guys like the Canadians, who I had have ahead of them and in a wildcard spot, I don't think the defense is quite as good. Bobrovsky, when you compare him to Price, I'll still take Price over Bobrovsky. And the forwards, I think Florida has the better forwards, but the Canadians still have a solid depth of 12 forwards. So I think it's going to be really close between the two, but I got the Panthers at number 5 and the Montreal Canadiens in a wildcard spot. I think this is going to be a good year for the Canadians. Carey Price, if they make it to the playoffs, I think he'll be in it for the Vezina Trophy. We'll see how that goes. If Shea Weber it plays the whole year for the Canadians, I think he could have a really good year. He put up a lot of goals for me in fantasy last year when I picked him up when he came back from injury. You can expect the same this year. So if Weber is back and they make the playoffs, Price has a Vezina Trophy campaign, I've got the Montreal Canadiens at number 4. So Panthers 5, Canadians in a wildcard spot at 4. At number 3, and I kind of hate to say it, but I don't hate to say it because I'm a Bruins fan, but I know a lot of people in Toronto not going to be a fan of me for saying this one. I still have the Toronto Maple Leafs at number 3. Here's my reasoning behind it. Obviously, Frederik Andersen is one of the best regular season goaltenders in the National Hockey League. He hasn't really proven himself in the playoffs, but in the regular season, he's been fantastic. Obviously, the forward core is looking fantastic. I wouldn't say the bottom six is great. I still like Boston's bottom six better, but the top six is looking good. Again, I like Boston's top line more than I like the Leafs top line, but that second line, that top six for the Leafs overall, I'll take it over the Bruins top six. Defense, I gotta give it to the Bruins, despite the additions of Tyson Barrie. I'm not a big fan of Cody Ceci, like I stated in past videos. The bottom two is not looking good for the Leafs. The Bruins have 6 really good defensemen. Leafs not so much after the top 4. And even with guys like Barrie and Riley, they're more offensive minded. You don't have any really shut down defensemen like Boston has with guys like Chara and Carlo. I think you need a mix of both. That's why I have the Leafs at 3 and the Boston Bruins at 2. Bruins are going to have another good year. I think you can expect breakout years from guys like Jake DeBrusk. We'll see how Carson Coleman does, but McAvoy is set to have a big-time season after his contract extension. Same with Brendan Carlo. He really developed last season into one of the best defensive defensemen in the league, in my opinion. So I think you expect good years from them again. Again, Boston, Toronto, they're going to be close for another year, but I have the Leafs at 3 and the Bruins at 2. That means at number 1, I have obviously the Tampa Bay Lightning. I mean, how can I not put this team at number 1? I don't think they're going to have as good of a season as they did last year, but it still should be a fantastic year for them. This is one of the best teams, that we've seen over the last 10 years, last 20 years in the National Hockey League, and I think they're going to continue to do that. They should take it easy with playing guys like Kucherov, Stamkos in the last 10 games this year, when they didn't really last year because Kucherov was going for point records, so they didn't play. They did not play him at the ends. They didn't have him as a scratch for those last couple games last year, but I think you'd expect that this year they'll probably drop a couple. I don't think you expect as many points for the Lightning as they had last year, but still a great squad. I got the Lightning at number 1. Let's move on right to the Metropolitan Division. Before I do get into the division, though, I wanted to mention that there's going to be a couple fan bases in the Metropolitan that are going to be very disappointed with their teams, because there's 8 solid teams in the division that, they all have pretty high expectations. So there's going to be a couple of fan bases that missed the playoffs that are going to be a bit disappointed. And that goes for the New Jersey Devils, who I have at number 8. Obviously, some big additions this offseason. PK Subban, Nikita Gusev, Jack Hughes, Wayne Simmons. It was a good year for the Devils, and they're going to be really good in a couple years. I don't think all the pieces are there this year, especially goaltending. Goaltending is such a big part of a team in this day and age for NHL, and Corey Shino, Keith Kincaid do not have what it takes to really, be a to allow the Devils to be a top team in the Metropolitan Division. I don't think it's as good as, even a team like the Columbus Blue Jackets, who I have at number 7. I do like the Devils on the offensive side of things. Obviously, Hischier, I think, is ready for a breakout year. The first overall pick in 2017. Hischier is going to have a good year, I think, wherever he plays. If he's playing on the second line, most likely behind Hischier. He'll hopefully be able to learn from Hischier, who kind of was a first overall pick in 2017. So expect a good year for him. Not as good as some people think. The Hockey News had him at like 73 points or something, but expect a good year for Hughes. I still have the Devils at 8th place. I don't think the defense is looking great. PK Subban's obviously a big addition, but again, even ask any Nashville Predators fan, he's not good defensively. As a defenseman, he's not very good defensively. Play him on the power play, but I have the Devils at number 8. Number 7, I have the Columbus Blue Jackets. I don't think they're going to be as bad as some people think. Obviously, let's just take a look at the beginning of the season last year. They didn't have Matt Duchene, they didn't have Ryan Dzingel, and Sergei Bobrovsky wasn't even playing a majority of the games. Jonas Korpisalo was, because Bobrovsky wasn't good at the beginning of the season this year. Obviously, Panarin is a massive loss for the Blue Jackets, and that does sting, but, the other pieces are still there. The defense is one of the best in the Metropolitan. Jonas Korpisalo and Elvis Merzlikins, if they, kind of split the games 41-41, it should be an okay goalie tandem. And then, obviously, the offense is not looking fantastic after, guys like Dubois and Cam Atkinson. You got Foligno, you got Wenberg, you got Anderson, you got Bjorkstrand, Milano. It's still looking pretty good for the Blue Jackets. I think they'll be in the mix for a good part of the year, but I don't think it's as good as some of the other teams in the Metro. I've got them at number 6. Number 6, I have Artemi Panarin and the New York Rangers. Panarin Panarin was obviously a massive addition for the Rangers. You got Capo Kakko, Vitaly Kravtsov's coming up. Anderson, Heidel were sent down, so that is kind of disappointing for Rangers fans, but you got to give them some time to grow. Guys like Kakko, Kravtsov, I think this is going to be like kind of like the Toronto Maple Leafs of a couple seasons ago. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs like the Leafs did, but I think they're going to have a good season this year. You're going to be exciting to watch. I'm really actually excited to see how this team kind of gels together. Adam Fox is on the back end, Jacob Trouba. The goaltending solid with Lundqvist as maybe the starter. I'm not 100% sure where they're going to put him. If he's going to be the backup or the starter, or they split games, I'm not sure. But the Rangers are still looking pretty good, but I think they're a bit too young, a bit too inexperienced to kind of make a run for the playoffs. I've got them at number 6. Number 5, a team that did pick up a lot of experience in the playoffs this past year. I've got the New York Islanders. It was a really impressive run for the Islanders last year, going on to the second round. Then they did get swept by the Hurricanes, but still, it was a good run for the New York Islanders, and I'm kind of excited to see how they do this year. A lot of people are kind of down on them. I still think they can easily make the playoffs this year. Still got Matthew Barzal, who had kind of a down year last year. I think you expect kind of numbers from his rookie season for this upcoming season. They were able to re-sign Anders Lee. They were able to re-sign Jordan Eberle, Josh Bailey. They're all still back there. You got guys coming up that could potentially step up into the lineup this year. The defense is still looking good, and then goaltending, Thomas Greiss and Varlamov, if they split time, that's going to be all right too. I don't think they're going to get back to the playoffs, but I don't think they're going to be far off. I've got them at number 5. At number 4, and in a wildcard spot, I have the Philadelphia Flyers. So obviously they did lose to a team from Switzerland 4-3. They were down 4-0. They kind of made a comeback, but there's so many variables that go into those games, like the sleep time, going over to Switzerland. It's just the ice surface is different, the size of the ice surface, I should say. So there's so many variables that go in, but I still have the Philadelphia Flyers making the playoffs this year. I think they're going to be a good team this year now that they've kind of solved the goaltending issues. Carter Hart, I think this guy's going to be a superstar in the future. Obviously, probably not a top 10 goalie in my opinion yet, even though the NHL Network said so, but that's the NHL Network. They're all over the place. I kind of like Carter Hart as the starter for them this year. Brian Elliott's not bad as a backup. You've got the center depth of Couturier, Kevin Hayes, and Nolan Patrick. That's going to look good. Patrick's a bit far down in the depth chart, but hopefully you'll start to see him grow. The defense is looking good. I like the Flyers this year. I got them at number 4. I have at number 3 in the Metro, I've got the Carolina Hurricanes. This is going to be a good year for the Hurricanes. I don't think they're going to go as far in the playoffs as they did last year, but I still think it's going to be a really good year for the Hurricanes. I mean, you've got guys like Svechnikov, who I think is going to take another leap, probably get to that 30-goal mark and, get closer to becoming the 40-goal scorer that he's going to be. Sebastian Aho, I picked him up in fantasy. The guy's going to be great this year. The only guy they really lost was Justin Williams this year, and obviously, no disrespect to him. He's a great captain, but I don't think that's going to be that much of a loss for the Hurricanes this season. I like the Justin Falk trade, despite me saying on my Instagram story that the Blues won it. I still think they did well picking up Dominic Bach. The goaltending is going to be good if Peter Mrazek can hold the fort. I've got the Hurricanes at number 3. Number 2 in the Metropolitan, I have the Pittsburgh Penguins. This is going to be a good year for the Penguins, I think. It's going to be another a step in the right direction after last year's first round loss. Crosby, he makes players out of players that we thought didn't really have much of a chance to really bring their career back up, and I think that's going to be the case with a guy like Alex Galchenyuk in the Phil Kessel trade. He's going to have a good year on Crosby's wing if he plays with them, I think, probably around the 60 to 70 point mark. You got Getzel, the 40-goal scorer. Letang's there. If Murray can stay healthy for the whole year, I think it's going to be a good year for the Penguins. Malkin's morale should be up. You can expect a better year now that Kessel's out of the way. I don't think they're going to be, a team they're going to be battling with the Capitals at the top, but they're going to have a much better year. I've got the Penguins at 2. Mention, I have the Washington Capitals at number 1. Alex Ovechkin's going for Gretzky's goal record, so I can't see him slowing down anytime soon. I can see definitely 50 goals this season again for Ovechkin. John Carlson, one of the best offensive defensemen in the league. You've got the depth there. When Kuznetsov comes back from his 4-game suspension, he's going to be dominant again this year. Braden Holtby should have another good year, and the Capitals are set for another Stanley Cup run. In my opinion, I got them number 1. Let's move right on to the Western Conference. Tell me what you guys think of my Eastern Conference predictions. I worked a lot on this, so please tell me what you guys think. Let's go on to the Central Division. At number 7 in the Central Division, I have the Minnesota Wild. I don't really know what they were thinking when they went out and got Nat Zuccarello. Obviously, he's a great player, don't get me wrong, but I thought they were going in the right direction, picking up Charlie Coyle and Ryan Donato, and then they went out and got Matthew Zuccarello, 5 years at, a pretty hefty contract. His best years are going to be at the beginning of the contract when the Wild aren't good. I think you can expect a down year from Zach Parise. Ryan Suter's on the decline. The only bright spot, in my opinion, is Matthew Dumba this year. I think he's going to have a really good year. Other than that, the Wild will be finishing 7th in the Central. Number 6, I have the Chicago Blackhawks. I like the Blackhawks this year, but I think the Central Division is just too stacked this year. A lot of people have the Blackhawks in the playoffs. I don't think they're going to make it quite yet. I really like, obviously, the tandem of DeBrincat and Strome. I have both of those players on my fantasy team, so I'm expecting them to tear it up. Patrick Kane, Tays, Saad. The top 6 is looking good in Chicago. The goaltending is looking pretty solid. But then you look at the defense, and it's a bit rough. Even Duncan Keith's on the decline. Seabrook's not looking good anymore. The only guy that might have as good of a season as he did last year and, could potentially, carry the defense is Eric Gustafsson, but I still think he's going to have a down year around 40 points instead of what he had last year. So I don't think it's going to be a fantastic year for the Blackhawks, but I think they're going to do all right. I've got them at number 6. At number 5, and I hate to say it because I like this team a lot, I got the Winnipeg Jets. It was a disastrous summer for the Jets. They were able to re-sign Patrick Laine and Kyle Connor, but, the losses are just insane. Dustin Byfuglien, if he does retire, then that's a huge loss for them, and their defense is kind of screwed. At least they have Josh Morrissey there, but I don't think he can carry the defense by himself. Byfuglien's got to come back for the Jets. They really need him this year. On the offensive side of things, they're still looking good. The second-line center spot is open for someone to take, so we'll see if Jack Roslovic can step up and take it. The goaltending, Connor Hellebuyck will really see what he's made of with his kind of weak defense. I do have them outside a playoff spot, but again, who knows? We'll see how Laine does, if he can bounce back this season. I've got them at number 5. At number 4, I have the defending Stanley Cup champs, the St. Louis Blues. This is a team that I think has a really good shot at winning going back-to-back again, but this is a team that's built for the playoffs. They're not built for the regular season, so just because you see the Blues at 4 doesn't mean that I don't think they have a shot at a Stanley Cup. I think they still have probably the best shot in the West to go for a Stanley Cup run. That's what their team's made for, with guys like Ryan O'Reilly, Alex Pietrangelo. We'll see how Jordan Binnington is this year. I think he's going to have a good year, but I have them at number 4, and in the first wildcard spot, I think there's 3 better teams in the Central Division for the regular season anyway, but I've got the Blues at number 4. At number 3, I have the Colorado Avalanche. This was a good summer for the Avalanche. I really like the addition of Nazem Kadri. I think he's going to be a good second-line center for the team. After that top line of Landeskog, McKinnon, and Rantanen, last year was looking a bit shallow, but now you pick up a guy like Nazem Kadri, and that's going to be a great addition for your squad. The defense, they would have been able to use a guy like Barrie, but they're a young squad, so a bit of an inexperience, but we'll see how Philip Grubauer can do with that defense corps. In a couple years, they're going to be fantastic. This year, they're going to be fast and exciting to watch, but like I said, they're going to be a bit inexperienced, so we'll see how that kind of translates to this games and the season. I still have the Avalanche at number 3. It's going to be a good year for them again. Number 2, I have the Dallas Stars. Think about how close this team was from knocking off the St. Louis Blues. They were 1 goal away from going to the conference finals, and the Blues would have been out. We probably would have seen a different Stanley Cup champ. I think the Bruins would have won if they faced against the Stars. But this team got better. They got Pavelski, they got Perry, they got Andrei Sekera, who's a good bottom pairing defenseman. Ben Bishop will be in it for the Vezina Trophy again this year. Still got Sagan, Ben, Radulov. This is a really good Stars team, the best that we've seen over the past couple of years, and I think this team will be able to make a run, potentially win the Central Division this year, go on to the conference finals, and I'll leave my playoff predictions for another video, but I got the Stars at number 2. This year at number 1, I got the Nashville Predators. I don't think they'll be up there at the top with some other teams just because the Central Division is so tight, but I can see a 100-point year for the Predators yet again. I like the addition of Matt Duchene, and getting PK Subban out of there wasn't a big loss just because their defense is still just stacked, and it's fantastic, especially if Dante Fabro can step up into the lineup. So I like the addition of Duchene. Now you got 2 1B centers, and I think that's going to be good for the Predators. They need it. Arvidsson was on pace for 50 goals last year. Probably won't hit that, but I can see around 40 for him. I've got the Predators at number 1. Phone's about to die, so we got to do this Pacific Division fast. At number 8, the Los Angeles Kings. I think this team is going to finish last in the league this year, which is not a bad thing at all. You guys had your run, but Kopitar, Doughty, Quick, they're all on the decline in my opinion. There's no really great bright spots. You guys do already have a good young forward core for the future, but right now it's not going to be great. You can see Quick at the deadline potentially be leaving the Kings. I've got the Kings at number 8. Number 7, I have the Anaheim Ducks. I think this is going to be an okay season for the Ducks, but I don't think they're going to be, cracking the top 5 or battling for a wild card spot for them this year. John Gibson, one of the best goaltenders in the league. The buyout of Corey Perry, I think, kind of stated a new, they're going in a different direction than, guys keeping guys like Corey Perry. So that was a good move for them. You got some good young forwards. I don't want to really get in depth with them because, again, we're running out of time, but I got the Ducks at number 7. Number 6, I have the Edmonton Oilers. It's just terrible. I don't even know what to say for the Oilers right now. They could have picked up so many great players off the waiver wire. Guys like Sprong, Hosang, who really could have helped out their wingers, because their wingers are terrible right now. After, James Neal, who could potentially put up 20 goals again this year, there's not much else there. So you got to really rely on McDavid and Draisaitl again. Their defense isn't bad. We'll see how the goaltending does, but there's just really nowhere to go, in my opinion, for if you're the Oilers. You just kind of got to wait for Yamamoto, Bouchard, and Broberg to develop. I got the Edmonton Oilers at number 6. Number 5, I have the Vancouver Canucks. I think it's going to be a really exciting year for Canucks and Vancouver Canucks fans. This is going to be a good young team, good exciting team to watch. We'll see if Bo Horvat's named the captain. I think he's going to be named the captain when they get to their first home game of the season. Elias Pettersson, Besser, those top 2 centers are looking really good. They've got some young guys. Quinn Hughes is coming out. The defense is looking solid. Jacob Markstrom's looking really good. So they don't even really have to wait for guys like Demko and DiPietro to come up. You already got a solid starting goaltender. So the Canucks are going to have a good year. Probably battle for a spot, but I can't see them making it. I've got them at number 5. Number 4, and in a wild card spot, I have Phil Kessel and the Arizona Coyotes. I'm really looking forward to seeing how the Coyotes kind of perform this year. Clayton Keller got hit hard by the sophomore jinx last year, but the good news about the sophomore jinx, it only lasts 1 year, so that's good news for the Coyotes. Hopefully, Jacob Chychrun can stay healthy for a whole season, because if he can, that's going to be really good news for the Arizona Coyotes. Antti Raanta and Darcy Kuemper was just extended today, so good goaltending in Arizona, and you got some options up front for some scoring, and you got the depth there. The Coyotes are going to be a good team this year. We'll see how they do in the playoffs. It's going to be the first time in a while, so it's going to be good in Arizona. I got them at number 4. At number 3, I have the San Jose Sharks. It was a pretty solid offseason despite losing Joe Pavelski. They were able to re-sign Erik Karlsson, able to re-sign Joe Thornton, able to re-sign Timo Meier, which was a really good RFA contract. Sorry, Arizona, you're just going to have to stay like that. It was a pretty good season for the San Jose Sharks, but I don't think they're going to be as competitive as they were last year. Again, the core is starting to get older. Pavelski is a big loss, no matter how you if you want to say that, he's not going to have as good of a season as last year. He was your captain. He was still a fantastic goal scorer, so that is a big loss, and I think teams 2 and 1 that I have in the Pacific are going to have a better year and can really contend for a cup. I got the Sharks at number 3. At number 2, I have the Calgary Flames. This is going to be a really good year for the Flames. The only downside I can see with them is the goaltending. Cam Talbot and David Rittich. Rittich had a solid year, but again, it's not as good as teams like San Jose's goaltending and the Vegas Golden Knights goaltending. I really like the Golden Knights going into the season. I'm actually going to do both of them right now. The Golden Knights goaltending is looking fantastic. The defense has never been great. That's one thing that I do like about the Flames is their defense is fantastic. But the forward side of things, it's kind of a toss-up. I really like the top 6 of the Vegas Golden Knights. I think if that second line of Satsny, Pacioretty, and Stone can really perform, then the Golden Knights will be number 1. I think they're my pick for the Western Conference to go to the finals this year, just like 2018. So I got the Calgary Flames at 2 and the Vegas Golden Knights at 1. That's it for this episode, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please hit the like button down below. I'm so excited for the start of the season. I hope you guys are as well. Again, tell your friends about the channel. We're trying to hit 200 subscribers. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll catch you guys in the next episode.